Welcome to Snipisode 33 of the Daily Dose of DMC podcast. Today is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, and I'm your host, HK. Good morning, all you beautiful people. It's Wednesday morning, and it is your time for the Daily Dose of dedication, motivation, and commitment, where every weekday at 8 a.m., you, the audience, and me, the host, kickstart our day with positivity. This is all about being a catalyst to think about positive things. Our society's got so much going on. There is always a lot happening in our lives with social media and all the negativity around that I figured I want to kickstart my day every single day, at least during weekdays, and talk about positive things. Talk about how we unleash a successful mindset, how experiences have shaped me, and how I've transformed over the years, and sharing that with you guys. And that's what we want to do today. Today I want to talk about the key to getting things done. And that is what we are going to discuss. And again, a lot of these things that we're talking about, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg here. There is no way that I can go into depth for a lot of these things in these 10, max 15 minutes that I want to do the daily dose in. It's just, like I said, it's a catalyst for our minds to really think about positive things, to think about how we can shape our day and our weeks, just to become better than ourselves the day we were previously. And today's topic, I mean, many of us, we've got goals, we've got aspirations. I've got a lot of stuff to do this week. Yesterday, a lot of phone calls I've had to reject. My wife and I, we took our kids in the evening. We went for a walk along the beach here, and we're discussing a lot of things I need to get done. And the problem is sometimes we just feel like we're struggling to make that progress. However, and this is something I've heard to learn over the years, over the last decades as well, and I'll get to that in just a second, is the key to achieving success. And what we've been talking about this week so far is not just about having that right mindset. That is so important as well, but it's ultimately also, it ultimately comes down to being consistent in your actions towards your goals. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the importance of that consistency in achieving our goals, and how we can develop a couple habits to stay consistent. For example, the daily dose. I've been consistently doing this. I mentioned in one of my very first episodes, I kickstarted twice on doing some podcasts, failed miserably, and that's a lot of stuff I've touched over the years. I'm kind of that person. I love trying new things. I'm a very curious individual. I get things going, and not that I lose my interest or motivation in things. That happens in certain areas as well, just like for all of us, but the majority of things is I get to a point where I say, okay, I've achieved the milestones I wanted to achieve in something, whether it's learning about some kind of topic, whether it's something athletic, so playing soccer, playing basketball, track and field, marathoning, whatever it is, or, building something, lots of things. Anyways, but to me, it's always been I reach a certain point and then I just kind of put it off to the side, move to the next thing because I want to learn the next thing. I'm curious, but I've never, especially in my younger years, I never stuck to certain things. And that's also led to a lot of problems on one hand. On the other side, I think, there's a lot of things I did stay consistent with in my career, in learning, in just growing as a person. And I think that is ultimately very, very important. So why is consistency so important in achieving our goals? Well, it takes time to build momentum and make progress towards the outcome that we want to achieve, and we need to be consistent in those efforts. It's something, like I said, I had to learn the hard way. You got to create that sense of rhythm. You got to create that structure. You got to stay focused. You got to stay motivated. You got to build those positive habits, and that's what's those habits are eventually going to become automatic. And that's what's going to make it easier to continue with the efforts you want to do to stay consistent with your goal. So let's say, I gave this example in a previous Snipisode, but I used to a couple years ago, I wanted to go running on a daily basis, and I was trying to find my routine again. So I didn't do it consistently, so I figured, okay, I got to change the pattern of how I get ready to go run. So I put my running shoes, my clothes, everything out on a chair in our bedroom. And when I got up in the morning, those are the first things I'd see. And no matter how I felt, I put my stuff on, I put the shoes on, and even if it was just for a 20, 30-minute run and nothing intense, I still went out for a jog. I still went out for a run. And that slowly became consistent and allowed me to move back into this automatic mindset of just getting it done and just doing it. And that's how it's going to be as well for you. If you want to start, let's say, a daily exercise routine, you got to be consistent with your workouts. You got to gradually build that strength, gradually build that endurance. And your workouts are going to become easier over time. We're just so trained, so conditioned, especially now in society, that we want results immediately. We want packages delivered immediately. We want to go to the gym and be fit immediately. That's not how it works. We are going to struggle. We're going to struggle to make progress. And those workouts, in this example, are going to feel harder if we don't stay consistent. And that's going to lead to frustration, and that frustration is going to lead to a lack of motivation, and then you just stop. New Year's resolutions, anybody? So that is the problem. So we need to stay consistent. You got to let go of that lack of motivation. You got to let go of overcommitment. You got to let go of fear of failure. You got to let go of lack of planning. You got to let go of procrastination. All those things as we move forward. Because even when you struggle, you just got to get that mindset right and identify those underlying causes. I've mentioned that before, those underlying causes of that inconsistency. And then you got to work at those to address them in order to develop a more consistent habit to achieve your goals. And like I said, to me it was at times overcommitment to things. It was just that curiosity of going everywhere, learning everything, trying to be a jack of all trades. But over the years, I've learned to take that energy and to focus on things. Certain things, I reach a point and I say, okay, that's enough. And other things I really stick to. That's what I'm doing right now with the Daily Dose for you guys and for me. So how do you develop those habits that will help you stay consistent? Just 4 tips. Like I said, tip of the iceberg. So 1 is start small. You've heard me. There's lots of people out there that talk about creating habits. James Clear is a big one. And he talks about starting small. My apologies. I just lost my track there. But when you're trying to develop a new habit, you got to start small. I've mentioned this a lot of times as well. You got to gradually increase that frequency. You got to gradually increase that intensity of your efforts. So, like I've said before, if you want to start meditating and you can't just sit still for 10 minutes straight or 30 minutes straight, then just start with a couple seconds. Do it 30 seconds. Do a minute. Whatever's realistic to you. And gradually do that consistently. And gradually then increase the time as you become more comfortable with doing that practice. Whatever it may be. Meditating, cooking, reading, sports, whatever that is. Putting your phone away, for goodness sake. Just start small steps. And then each step, every single day, will gradually grow. Secondly, you got to make that plan. I mean, technically, yeah, you should make the plan before you start small, but you got to just create a plan and how you want to achieve your goal and how you're going to stick to it. Like I write down I use a to-do list on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. I've got it very well structured, moving things left to right, what I need to get done, what family things we need to get done, what my wife needs to get done. We collaborate very well, but you got to create a plan of action, in regards to your goals. And then you got to write down those specific actions that you're going to take to reach your goals, and then also on the way, track your progress. And that's my third point, is you got to hold yourself accountable. To me, in a lot of areas, it was either close friends, family members. Now, a lot of times it's my wife. I tell my wife, look, this is what I want to achieve this week. I'm looking to reduce my food intake, or I want to do this much of bike riding this week, or this much, And she holds me accountable just the way I hold her accountable for our actions, for the things we want to achieve. So do that as well. Share your goals with friends. Share your goals with a family member who's going to hold you accountable for the progress. Whoever that may be, whatever it is, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, that is going to hold you ultimately accountable for what you want to achieve when it comes to being consistent in doing something. And then ultimately you got to stay motivated. Motivation goes and comes and goes and comes, but you got to find ways to stay motivated. You got to be focused on your goal. It's like Eric Thomas says, you got to want something so much like you want to breathe. Yeah, the air. That's how bad you got to want it. It's got to click in your head. And I know this from experience for a lot of things. When I tell myself, okay, I'm going to do this, but if it doesn't click in my head, if I'm not mentally there, then after just a couple days or a couple times, it typically falls apart. And then I analyze, okay, what went wrong? But if it clicks in your head, then you're going to find ways to stay motivated. And that can be like anything, visualizing your success. That can be just celebrating those small wins, those milestones along the way. Again, one of the things I talk about a lot is to surround yourself with positive influences. All those different things are going to be ways to keep you motivated, to keep going. I can tell you about one of my things right now. I'm working on a platform called My Kids. Been building that for quite some time now, and ultimately 1 visitor, and now we're in 4-digit daily visitors, which is absolutely incredible. It's all about consistency and seeing those small wins, that small growth. That's what it's all about. And the same thing, like we talked about yesterday, teach this to your kids as well. Consistency is such a valuable life skill. That is something we teach our kids as well, because it's going to help them achieve their goals. It's going to help them be successful in their future. And it's all about teaching them to develop that strong work ethic, to build all these positive habits, to stay focused on their goals, things we've been talking about now over the past couple Snipisodes. And as we move forward talking about these things, I'm going to bring in a bit more of that side, that parenting side of me as well, because I find it so important to discuss these things. It's going to help them teach, you're going to teach your kids self-discipline when it comes to this topic, that sense of responsibility. That's what's going to let them grow. That's what's going to help them mature. And the only way they do that oftentimes is just by leading by example. We talked about that yesterday, setting goals. Encourage your kids to set goals as well. And then help them develop that consistency in their efforts to achieving those goals. Create a routine with them so that they develop consistency in their actions and they can build positive habits. And then ultimately always provide positive reinforcement. That's something I've written down as well, because praising and rewarding kids for their consistent efforts is what's going to help them stay motivated and teach them about the importance of consistency. And maybe you as a parent or you as an adult will learn something along the way as well. I mean, again, there are a couple examples I can just pull off the top of my head. We talked about J.K. Rowling, so I won't mention her, but like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. I think it's a legendary story. If you don't know who Michael Jordan is because you're too young, then you got to Google Michael Jordan, man. He's a legendary basketball player, and he had one rigorous training regimen. He had a very, very consistent and tough work ethic. Practiced day in, day out, always trying to improve his skills. He was cut, like I said, from his high school team. He became one of the greatest of all time, the GOATs. Just like Novak Djokovic, a tennis player, same thing. Warren Buffett. I think he's a little bit out of it in his age, but he accomplished, from a financial standpoint, quite a bit, starting out selling Coke cans or whatnot, and is now a billionaire investor. He's been consistent and disciplined in his approach to investing. He's got his rules that he follows, and he's always consistent with those rules. I don't always agree with him and Berkshire Hathaway and what they do and whatnot, but you gotta sometimes just say, hey, there's certain people, they do what they do. Respect to those individuals. So guys, stay consistent in achieving your goals. Build that momentum, create those positive habits, stay focused, look towards the outcome, and stay positive in all those things. Be consistent with the habits, hold yourself accountable, just continue making steady progress towards your goals, and eventually, guys, together, whatever you endeavor, together, you and I, whatever we're going for, are going to achieve success. It's not this one-time thing. The result of consistent effort over time is what's going to lead to that success in whatever endeavor you're going for. Guys, we touched the tip of the iceberg again today. Thank you for tuning into another daily dose. Thanks so much. Thank you for subscribing and sharing and hitting me up for those who have been. Post it everywhere. Share it around. That being said, stay dedicated, motivated, committed all day, every day.